Before your first breath, before your first cry, before your body knew touch, there was a moment, a timeless pause in the infinite rhythm of existence. In that moment, you stood not as a body, but as a soul, vast, luminous, eternal. And from that sacred stillness you made a choice, not a random choice, not dictated by fate, but a conscious agreement, quiet, profound, and filled with intention. You chose 3 souls, not because they would make your path easy, but because they would awaken you. Their presence, their challenges, their love, their absence, all threads in the intricate tapestry of your becoming. This truth is not found in the intellect. It echoes beyond logic in the silent knowing that stirs when you remember something you've never been told. That stirring, it's your soul whispering, yes, you chose them. Weiss spoke of this, the interwoven dance of souls across lifetimes. As a psychiatrist who wandered into the uncharted territory of past lives and soul planning, he offered glimpses into the spaces between incarnations. In hypnotic regressions, patients returned not just to ancient memories, but to realms before time, where souls gathered in luminous circles to decide who they would meet and why. You chose them for growth, not for comfort. You picked the one who would teach you pain, not to punish you, but to show you your own resilience, your capacity to transform suffering into wisdom. That person might have broken your heart, or perhaps vanished when you needed them most. Yet they were your teacher in disguise, a soul ally playing the role of antagonist to ignite a deeper remembering. Then you chose the one who would walk beside you in love, not necessarily romantic but pure, mirroring your divinity back to you. Their presence feels like home, like déjà vu wrapped in a heartbeat. With them, silence is never empty. They remind you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. And finally, you picked the one who would challenge your beliefs, the one who would push you, trigger you, or even betray you. This person carries a mirror you often resist. Yet in their reflection lies your shadow, your unhealed places, your deepest opportunity for liberation. Without them, you might remain asleep. Each of these souls volunteered, just as you did for others. There was no guilt, no fear in that space, only love, a kind of cosmic courage that transcends human logic. You didn't choose them for who they are now, but for the vibrational lesson their presence would unlock within you. In the vast, luminous field before incarnation, we see with clarity. We know the consequences, the timing, the veils we'll forget behind. And still we say yes, because the soul does not seek comfort. It seeks growth, it seeks remembering, it seeks return. And so, you descended into a body, into forgetfulness, into time. But now you are remembering. What if the ones who hurt you most were the ones who loved you most before birth? What if every relationship, no matter how brief or painful, is part of an ancient agreement designed to awaken you? What if hidden behind every face you've loved or lost is a soul you once chose, with open eyes and open heart? This remembrance is not meant to explain away your wounds. It's meant to shift your gaze, from victimhood to purpose, from confusion to compassion, from pain to power. You came here not just to live, but to awaken, and every soul you chose is a doorway to that awakening. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself know, let yourself remember. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel. Imagine a space beyond space, vast, radiant, untouched by time. There, in the silence between incarnations, exists a realm known by many names. Some call it the interlife, others the soul plane. But names are mere shadows. What matters is what happens there, the remembering, the planning, the choosing. It is in this realm that the soul meets the council. The council is not a hierarchy, nor a system of judgment. It is a gathering of consciousness, wise, loving presences that have guided you across lifetimes. They are not separate from you, but reflections of the higher aspects of your own being. They help you remember what the ego forgets, that you are here not by accident, but by deep and sacred design. In this space, time is fluid. You can see the ripple of one decision across decades. You can feel the echo of an unspoken word shaping lifetimes. Here, intention is the blueprint, not rigid, but alive, adaptable, dancing with free will and synchronicity. Before you chose your body, your family, your culture, you were presented with possibilities, pathways of experience, not outcomes. You saw the lessons embedded in hardship, the expansion hidden within loss, the opening seeded in betrayal. And with full awareness, you selected the incarnation most aligned with your soul's next evolution. You did not come to suffer, but you understood that within suffering you would find gold. This is when the three souls stepped forward, not randomly, not passively, but in love. You knew them, not from this life, but from many. You had danced with them in roles reversed. Mother becomes daughter, enemy becomes healer, stranger becomes savior. In the soul's journey, all roles are costumes. Only love remains unchanged. The agreements made here are not contracts of fate, but invitations of transformation. They are not rigid scripts, but open scores where your choices still shape the music. You asked one soul to help you awaken your strength. Challenge me, you said, not to harm, but to help me remember what I carry within. You knew that only by forgetting your power could you truly reclaim it. You asked another to walk beside you, not to complete you, but to mirror your wholeness. Love me through my forgetting, you said, and I will love you through yours. To the third you whispered, test my truth, push me to question, reflect the places I still fear. And they agreed, knowing that their role might make you hate them, at least for a while. This is not fantasy. These are echoes that many have felt in the deepest parts of their being, in déjà vu, in unexplainable bonds, in the recognition that moves faster than thought. Weiss, through countless sessions of past life regression, heard these truths repeated again and again. Different voices, different cultures, same remembrance that souls choose and are chosen. That love guides even the hardest path. Why does this matter? Because when you shift from the belief that life is happening to you to the knowing that it is unfolding for you, everything changes. Blame dissolves, judgment softens, the heart opens, not just to others but to yourself. You begin to see with soul eyes. You see the alcoholic parent not only as a source of pain, but as a soul who agreed to play that part, so you could learn compassion, boundaries, or resilience. You see the friend who betrayed you as a mirror, showing you where you still abandon yourself. And most importantly, you begin to see that you are not powerless, you are not broken, you are not lost, you are remembering. And in that remembrance something awakens, quiet, ancient, and real. The soul does not fear pain, it does not resist challenge, it seeks alchemy, the transmutation of the dense into the divine, the forgotten into the remembered. That is why you chose this life. That is why you chose them. A soul contract is not a prison. It is a sacred agreement. And like all sacred things, it is alive, evolving with your choices, breathing with your awareness. These contracts are not meant to bind you, but to awaken you. They are not cages, they are keys. Each key opens a door within you that you alone have the power to walk through. The people you selected before birth are not always obvious. Sometimes they appear as antagonists, the ones who hurt, who betray, who leave. But in the language of the soul, even pain carries light, even endings hold beginnings, even loss brings remembering. To understand this is not to justify abuse or to romanticize suffering. It is to honor your soul's wisdom. It is to look at life not from the eyes of fear, but from the quiet gaze of eternity. One of the souls you chose may be a parent who never knew how to love you, but perhaps their absence taught you to nurture yourself. Perhaps their silence became the space where your voice began to grow. Another may be a partner who shattered your trust, and yet through that heartbreak you found the courage to rebuild not just your life, but your inner foundation, stronger, deeper, more true. Or a friend whose betrayal forced you into solitude, and in that solitude you met your soul. These are not mere stories, these are initiations, and your life is the temple in which they unfold. Weiss encountered this pattern repeatedly, souls describing under hypnosis the planning of lives with clarity and love. I needed to know what abandonment felt like, one soul said, so I could help others heal from it. Another whispered, We agreed that he would leave me. It was the only way I would awaken. There is no cruelty in these choices, only purpose, only love that sees beyond a single lifetime. When you remember this, something inside begins to soften. The sharpness of resentment dulls, the urgency to change others quiets. You begin to ask different questions, not why is this happening to me, but what is this here to teach me? And slowly, the alchemy begins. The moment you stop resisting what is and start listening to what it holds, you step into your soul's power. You become a conscious participant in your evolution, no longer reacting, now responding, no longer forgetting, now remembering. That's when synchronicities appear, those subtle alignments that confirm you're in resonance with your soul's design. A name mentioned twice in one day, a song at the perfect moment, a stranger who feels like home. These are not coincidences, they are echoes from your pre-life choosing, reminders from the blueprint you once held in your hands. When you view your life through the lens of sacred contract, you reclaim authorship. You realize you are not a victim of your relationships. You are their co-creator, even when they end, especially when they hurt. And the more you honor the roles others play in your awakening, the more you begin to meet them with compassion. Not passivity, not martyrdom, but deep, grounded compassion that sees beyond personality into essence. Some of these contracts are complete, some remain, but all are invitations to remember, to evolve, to love more consciously than before. You chose this, and you can choose again, always. Not all awakenings arrive as light. Some come cloaked in discomfort, wrapped in silence or carved into you by the very people you once chose with love before birth. The soul, wise and unshaken, often speaks through what the mind resists, through the ones who press your buttons, challenge your identity, or shake the illusion of control. These are not mistakes, they are mirrors. You've met them, those who irritate you without reason, who pull shadows from places you thought were buried. They might be strangers or loved ones, but they activate something ancient. And what arises is not new. It is a reflection of the unhealed, the forgotten, the hidden parts of yourself. Triggers are not flaws, they are doorways. The very emotions you wish to escape are maps toward the parts of your soul still seeking integration. Imagine this. Before you incarnated, you sat with one of these souls and said, "I need to confront my abandonment. Will you help me remember it, so I can heal it?" And they said yes, knowing they might become the person you'd blame, avoid, even hate. This is love of the highest order, not emotional comfort but spiritual bravery. Weiss once described how souls in the interlife design key experiences not to punish, but to provoke awakening. The souls involved do not judge their assigned roles. To one, the role of betrayer, to another, the betrayed. The polarity creates friction, and friction, when met with presence, creates light. To understand this is not to dismiss your pain. Your wounds are real, your heartbreaks matter, but they are not the end of your story. They are the initiations into deeper chapters, if you allow them. When someone triggers you, ask, "What is this showing me about myself?" When you feel resistance, ask, "Where am I still afraid to feel, to see, to release?" This is where remembering takes root, not in transcending life but in entering it fully, with the eyes of the soul wide open. There's a reason some people feel instantly familiar. You meet them, and time stretches. Words aren't needed. The bond is older than this body, this place. It is recognition, not discovery. You don't get to know them, you remember them. These echoes are not random. They are soul chords vibrating again, drawn together by intention beyond memory. They carry remnants of past lives, of soul promises whispered in the space between worlds. The one you felt inexplicably drawn to. The one who helped you through your darkest season. The one you can't forget even if they're no longer here. These are echoes of your original choosing. The three you invited to sculpt your life from the inside out. Their impact is not measured in duration, but in depth. Some stay, some pass like wind through leaves. All leave imprints. Sometimes the soul you chose to challenge you also loves you beyond measure. That paradox is hard for the human heart, but familiar to the Eternal One. They may break you open so you can feel again. They may disappear so you can finally see yourself. It is not your job to stay in harm's way, but it is your opportunity to ask, what truth is this person reflecting back to me? What part of my being is being asked to awaken? This is the sacred work, to see others not just as characters in your story, but as co-authors of your evolution. To respond not with blame but with presence, not with fear but with soul-eyed compassion. This is how we remember, piece by piece, moment by moment, breath by breath. There comes a moment, quiet, unannounced, when the remembering becomes undeniable. Not because of a dramatic shift, but because something inside no longer clings to resistance. The ache softens. The questions lose urgency. And you begin to see not with the eyes of survival, but with the gaze of eternity. This is the soul's return, not to somewhere far, but to the center of your being, where the truth has always waited. You were never lost. You were unfolding. From the first breath to the final exhale, this life has been guiding you back to what you chose before arriving. The patterns you resisted, the people who challenged you, the invisible threads that made no sense and suddenly begin to form a deeper geometry. You sense that everything has meaning, not from the mind, but from the stillness beneath it. You remember, I chose this. And more importantly, I can choose again. That's the quiet power of the soul's journey. You are not bound to your past agreements. As you evolve, so do they. The sacred design adapts, breathes, bends, not breaking but deepening. New choices arise, new mirrors appear, and new souls enter the path, responding to your frequency. The three you picked, they were never meant to complete you. They were chosen to awaken you. One came to rupture your illusions, one came to reveal your wholeness, one came to challenge your truth. And all three came in love. When you look back, you may find that the one who caused the most pain was also the one whose presence cracked the shell of forgetfulness wide open. Through that fracture, light poured in, and with it, clarity, strength, and remembrance. You begin to feel a reverence, not just for them, but for yourself, for the courage it took to choose this life, for the endurance it took to stay, for the softness it took to keep your heart open even when it ached. You start to forgive, not as a favor, but as a liberation. You begin to live not from fear, but from alignment. You understand now that love is not always gentle. Sometimes it arrives as a mirror you want to break. Sometimes it leaves before you're ready. But it always invites you deeper into yourself. Weiss taught us that our souls are ancient, luminous travelers. We return lifetime after lifetime with a single intention: to evolve through love. And love is not always easy. It is not always safe, but it is always sacred. So what do you do now, knowing what you know? You pay attention. You listen to the energy beneath your interactions. You observe who stirs your peace and who stirs your pain. You ask not, why is this happening, but what is this revealing? And in that inquiry, you reclaim your role as the architect of your life. You no longer wait for closure, you become it. You no longer chase connection. You embody it. You no longer fear the unknown. You trust it because you've been there before. And now as you walk forward, you do so with presence, with reverence, with soul. You greet each person not as stranger or accident, but as potential echo, ally, teacher, maybe even one of the three. Because the ones you chose before birth, they never truly leave. Their roles may shift, their forms may change, but the sacred thread remains. And if you listen closely, in the stillness between breaths, you might hear them whisper, "We are here just as we promised." If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it. You'll love